On this episode of Leadership Hustle, we're going to discuss what it's like to have a family member who believes that their name being on the building gives them special privileges. Hello, and welcome to the Leadership Hustle for executives whose companies are growing fast and need leaders who are ready. Welcome to this episode of the Leadership Hustle. I'm Andrea Fredrickson, and I'm joined by my co-host, Michelle.
Hello.
Hi there. And we are wrapping up a series of, maybe not really wrapping up. No, we're not wrapping up.
I didn't know we were wrapping them up.
No, we're doing, one of the things we decided we should do a while back was to insert some episodes related to family business.
Yes.
And today's episode is that episode that we're sprinkling in.
Yes.
And literally, this is exactly the phrase that came to, I was working with a group of people, and this was actually said. And I just wanted to, everything I could do not to let my jaw drop on the floor. And the phrase was, I don't know why they don't listen to me. My name is literally on the building. And the other brothers,
I would have had to have said something. I don't think I could hold back.
Well, it doesn't mean I didn't say anything, but it was, how do I do this without just obliterating this person because of the literally, he did not understand the impact he was having on his brothers and the rest of his family, let alone the other workers.
Yes.
Right? So he's walking around, unbeknownst to us, thinking, because I have the last name, you fill in whatever last name it is, right?
Yes.
Of any business that is family owned and run. And they're thinking, you should just do it because of my name. And have you ever run into this where whether they've actually said it or it they just believed it?
Well, I can't say I've run into them actually saying that.
Like admitting it?
I mean, those exact words, but they definitely, you can tell the way they behave, they believe that. I mean, that was a belief of theirs that they can just come in and make changes whenever they want to make changes, and people should just listen to them and yes.
So
and trust them. Yes.
When my "Are you kidding me?" face was like, oh, how do I manage that, right? But I said, so tell me, what impact do you think, son, you have on the people around you? And he just looked at me like, what do you mean? When you believe that people should just listen to you, should just follow you, should just march along with you because your name is on the building, what's the impact on that? Well, we get shit done around here. I said, okay, brothers. How do you feel? How do you take this? And I'm watching them as they're having this, they're just like, oh, do I really go here? Or nope, it needs to be said, because they can't move forward unless they all are like, nope, this is a problem.
Yeah.
Right? Because they've seen the behavior, but they've never heard it said out loud. Yeah. So we asked.
So real quick before you go further, so give examples of like what's like when you say they see the behavior. What was this like? What would this person or a person with that belief system? What would we notice them doing?
So there are several behaviors that we were watching. Not only this. I don't want to even say young man, younger than me, but that wasn't mean. He was young. Okay.
I have to be careful when I say these days. A lot of people.
He would say things. Well, I told him, which is not unique to any managers. Like, well, I've told you. And so he would say, well, just do it because I told you to. I'm like, okay, that's normal, right? They would say things like, let me give you the last name, right? So if my last name is Fredrickson, it's like, well, I'm a Fredrickson. You should just, and that was supposed to explain everything. And not realizing that when he would say, well, I'm a Fredrickson, he would think, people like, yeah, we know, we don't like it, right? We don't like your side of the Fredrickson, we like the other side of the Fredrick, right? The things that he would do showed how entitled he was. So because, he would come and go much more as he pleased.
There we go, he comes and goes.
He would make decisions and unilaterally say, no, that we're not doing that. We would do this.
Just make random changes. Create chaos.
Mm-hmm. And so, and those are some of the big ones, right? But there's some little ones where it's like, you just wouldn't show up to meetings that were decisions were being made. And then he's like, well, I wasn't at that meeting. It's like, no kidding, but you needed to be at that meeting. And that was the issue. And so we asked the rest of the family, I was like, what's the impact of some of these things because he thinks this way? What is the impact? And, his brothers would say things like, well, we don't know which decisions he thinks are important to him or not. And so because he's got the bloodline, people follow what his bloodline is as opposed to his position. And his position had significant authority, but the higher he went in the organization, his authority was also ran by his bloodline, not necessarily his role in the company. And so there'd be things like that. It would be employees would go to the other brothers and double check and make sure that they had said employees back, because the brothers would have to have conversations with the one brother, because like, I'm the last name person. I'm the person with the name on it. It's like, well, so do I, but I'm not using that as
so the employees didn't trust the one brother.
They didn't trust whether what he said he would follow through with, or
is this an accurate change? This is what we're doing,
or that he wasn't at the meeting. It's like, why are we even having this meeting? Because brother might come in and just change everything. And it's like, no, you weren't at the meeting. You don't get to be a part of this because you didn't think it was important.
Yeah.
Right. And so, again, this doesn't happen a lot.
No, normally I was going to say, I can think of some clients that we've worked with where they didn't want to tell people their last name.
Right. It's like, can I change my name?
Yes. I mean, like literally they wouldn't, people wouldn't know. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, did you know that's so-and-so? And then it's like, oh, but they didn't want people to know their last name. That I would probably say I see that a little more.
Okay. Yes. But on occasion, there is the entitled.
Oh yeah. I can think of
cousin, brother, nephew, kid, sister, whatever.
Yes.
That is taking advantage of the name because they, mom, dad, uncles, whoever have allowed all these behaviors to happen. And no one's really holding them accountable or teaching them what to do.
Yeah.
So
there's no real boundaries, I would say, boundaries, expectations when you're in the business. These are kind of in your role. This is those expectations, and it definitely, at least from what I've seen, it's just a little more of a free for all, and then parents come in or someone comes in and has to try to clean it up a little bit. Right. Or the brothers, siblings, whomever.
So this happened to be a first meeting, and it was a conversation because the brothers, and it's usually next gen that usually says, hey, Ravella, we need some help because something's not happening with our siblings or with Gen 1. And I'm saying Gen 1 as in who's currently in the leadership role. Yes. It could be Gen 15. It could be Gen 27. But the current gen that is in the leadership role. And then Gen 2 is the one that's up and coming and will be taking over for Gen 1. And so they had brought us in and they're like, so how do you deal with this?
Yeah, he shows up randomly, doesn't show up. I mean, it's...
And so what we decided was that we were going to put together a plan of this is how we behave. And so we had to discuss how it was going to be the same or different than the business behaviors. And, our business mission is to do this. Is that the same as our family mission? Is our mission to really to provide opportunities for multiple generations of families who want to work in our community, which could be our business, but for sure this was their family. And so they had to work with them on this. And then it got to be where we said, these are the behaviors that we're looking to demonstrate. And as we went through this, it was like, oh, this is pretty easy. The brothers are agreeing, this is what's going on. Until I reminded them, I said, these are the behaviors for this group right here. Everybody has to behave this way. And what happens if so-and-so, so if Michelle's part of my family, and what happens if Andrew doesn't behave according to this, what does Michelle get to do? And what happens if you hold me accountable? But what does that mean? Does it just mean shame on you?
Does it mean I just yell at you?
Right.
Yeah,
I yell at you.
We
I
get
shake
back
my
into that
fingers.
sibling kind of dialogue when we're
Right.
really pissed off at each other. Yeah.
Right. And so we had to work through a series of, oh, you are talking to me. I never do that. And just recognizing that once we identify what we thought might be a good series of behaviors that we wanted to follow, then what we did is we kind of checked on each other and just watched when it's like, oh, that's what you're talking about? Oh, that's what you're talking about? I did this. I didn't realize I was doing that. I'm not demonstrating the behaviors. And this is a series of a lot of different things that we're doing together. But this is the one thing that it really did have to change mindset. It took a long time. I mean, it took a very, very long time. Did not realize the impact he was having on his brothers, but let alone there was the employees that were much worse treated.
Well, and in situations where maybe the oldest sibling, and I'm just saying oldest because they're going to be the first one possibly to enter into the workplace, right? Mm-hmm. If they come in with that attitude, then any sibling that follows, the employees are going to have oh God, here we go again, and instantly they're going to be kind of viewed similar to the first sibling, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Even though they may behave completely different. And they may, be role modeling and really wanting to learn the business and work in the business and, earn trust of everyone.
Right.
But you're already creating they're already keeping score against you because of your sibling. It has the same last name.
Right. Well, and, every sibling has a perception about how their siblings treat each other. So if I'm the oldest, then, you think you're the oldest and you have all the rules and you get to set the stage and you get to be that person versus I'm the youngest. Like, I'm old enough. I'm a 40-some-year-old person.
Correct.
And
we all
I can
are
make decisions.
Yes, we're on an equal playing field.
We're on equal.
Yes.
Or the middle child who's always decided to be a person who, what's the word I want to say, wants to deviate from the rest. It's like, I don't want to be the first child. I don't want to be the middle child. I'm the youngest child. I'm going to be the middle child, and I'm not like the first, all those kinds of things. So we all bring this baggage with us, and we carry it into adulthood.
Yes.
And so what is the norm about how brothers and sisters or brothers or sisters, like whatever the families, like what's the rules
Cousins.
About how they treat each other? And so by bringing us in, it wasn't like a sibling said, hey, watch out for Andrea because she's going to do this. Like, please don't tell me. It will start evolving, right? And it will start bubbling out, and we can address it as it shows up. And so, I can happily say that they are in a much better space because this truly was a blind spot for this brother. And he really did want the best for his family. So that was a good thing. He wasn't just walking around like a peacock and just not expecting that that things didn't have to evolve.
Yeah.
But it took a minute or a beat or whatever the latest phrase is for people to recognize, like, I didn't even realize I was doing this. And I remember him apologizing.
Well, and I think sometimes too, the challenge is that first gen that's in place, leadership right now, mm-hmm. They're having to step back and look through a different lens that we're in the workplace. So even though these are my children, they're perceived that they're used to, they're predictable to how they argue and view each other. They have to view them as employees and pull back and have the conversations and set the expectations. And when they don't, we get this.
Right.
And then if you have that first gen that won't address it, that's a whole other challenge.
Well, and that was part of the conversation up front that we had with them is that we needed the second gen to be able to lead and manage without first gen stepping in. And so first gen could sit in, but they could not make any comments because the comments would be viewed as siding.
Yes.
One way or the other. It's always 100%. A side, right?
Yeah.
And so I want you to watch. I don't want you to give off any facial expressions like, oh my gosh, here we go again, right? Or because the brothers in this case, they had to be able to hold those conversations and be graceful and accountable at the same time, because no one's gonna. No, we don't want to walk out going, yeah, that's how my brothers always taught me, treated me, or like we just don't need to keep adding points, the
keeping
scorekeeping,
score,
to what's going on. So with this episode, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it really can.
It can be disruptive.
Oh, so disruptive, and I wanted us to share a story where not all of these situations end up, well, that's just the way they are and nothing changes. The people can change if they understand the impact, or if they really desire the future to be different than the way it is. And this happens to be one of those scenarios where they had to work hard, but they did the work.
No, they had to re-earn the trust of all the employees, or earn trust, not re-earn, but earn trust of the employees.
Yeah, there were conversations that he would have. It's like, you know what, I haven't been consistent about showing up in meetings where I need to be at, and I haven't been clear about which ones are mine. We haven't been clear, and so having those clarifying conversations and making sure everybody's on the same page, it just it's like, okay, is this really going to happen? But he did the work, and he asked for some accountability from some of his employees as well as his brothers.
Yeah,
so
that's a good ending.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us on this special edition of The Leadership Hustle. This episode being one about family businesses. Hopefully not every one of you can relate to this, but if there are those that can relate to this, I hope it was helpful. And if you know someone who might benefit from it, please share it with them. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode.